Well, welcome, you folks. We're grateful to have you with us today. This is the 15th of May of 2024, and I'm Don Snow. I'm in Provo, Utah, which is south of Salt Lake City by 50 miles. And our host, Gerhard Roof, is in Orem, which is a neighboring city of Provo. And this is the regular class that we have usually on the third Wednesdays of each month for the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. That's UVTAG for short. Our subject today is on Gemini. That's what Google calls their free AI. Now, I call it a website, but it's really a program, but it's free. They also have paid versions, as do most of the other big companies now, Chat GPT, and that's from OpenAI. That's the company that runs that, and Copilot, which is the one that Microsoft runs. We'll have separate classes on those later on. This is a part of a series that I've been doing for the last several months on artificial intelligence. AI stands for artificial intelligence. That's really a misnomer because it's neither artificial nor is it intelligent. But we'll see exactly how to use it today and how to get to it. And we're only dealing with the free parts here. We're also only dealing with the text parts. We're not dealing with images or music or videos or anything like that. Now, there are notes for the class, and the link to where the notes are on my website is there at the bottom of the page. It's the uvtag.org website, and I've got a class notes page there with all my class notes from past classes, etc. There's information on there about where these are being recorded and where they're being posted, where you can watch previous classes. This is being recorded. It's being shown live on Zoom and live on Facebook, and then it will be recorded and permanently placed on our Zoom website probably within the next day or two. So we're going to talk about Gemini and what that is. Now, this is what we're going to be talking about. These are some of the things that are in the notes and that we'll talk more in detail about. So you don't need to take careful notes, but if you find something that you're interested in, just make a note of something and you can go back and find the notes later. We're going to talk a little bit about AI. We've been discussing that for the last little while on different topics. And then we're going to talk about how you use Gemini. It used to be called Bard, B-A-R-D, but they changed the name a few months ago. And it was both names for a while. Now it's only called Gemini, but they say it previously called Bard. We're going to show some suggested uses of this, ways to find new information that you may not know or that you may be interested in finding, and how to use it to help you with your writing or various sorts of things. But keep in mind, we're only doing text here. We're not doing images, nor videos, nor music, and so on. But there are some cautions of to be used in all AI, and all the AI websites I've looked at always have a caution that they say, check this out. This may be inaccurate information. So they're pointing out that don't count on it without checking it. And we'll look at some examples. Now, the class notes themselves are posted at that website. That's the same website that you saw before. And Gerhard Roof, our host today, will be posting that in the chat in Zoom, the link, so you can get directly to that. He usually posts a PDF in there so you can download the PDF, but it's online. And so you can always get to it even after the class is over. You can get to it. And if you're watching this on Facebook, he'll have a link in there also as to where to get a hold of the PDF. The notes are there, the links are there as to where you could find the classes, etc., and so on. Now we're going to be looking at demos. Well, before we do the demos, let me actually show you what the notes look like. This is what we're going to be demoing, but I'm going to hit, let's see if I do an Alt Tab on my computer and then go to this one. This is where the class notes page is. This is the class notes where all my class notes are. And the newest ones are at the top. There's information there about how to watch this online or how to find the ones that are recorded. Here's the classes coming up, and the first one there is today's class. And if you click on that, it takes you right to where the notes are stored. The next couple of classes are on there for next month. Next month, we're going to talk about some Windows tips and tricks. And then the month after that, let's see, that'll be the month after, that'll be July. We'll be talking about, again, some more on AI. There's information, there's the past notes and the links to the past notes, etc. Now, if you click on the one over here where it says classes coming up, right here on that one today, Google's Gemini, then you get to the next thing, and I've already downloaded it. So let's see. Let me see if I can find it up here on my. No, that's the wrong thing. Oh gosh, let me go back to my Alt tab and see if I can find where that is. Well, I'll just click on it because I thought I had it started, but I'll click to get to it. Okay, here we go. This is Gemini, Google's free website. Now, there's an abstract there that tells you what we're going to be discussing today and about what's in these notes, etc. There's a long paragraph there about welcome and the introduction. There's my email address. If you're watching this 6 months from now and you want to email me a question, then that's my email address, and I'll try and answer it for you. A couple of helps and ideas on there. And then item 4 is the problem for today. We're going to do a short review of what AI in general is, and then how to use Google's Gemini to help with what it will do for us. And you'll find it'll do a whole lot of things. Here's a paragraph, a long paragraph about AI in general. Without taking time to read through all of this, let me just say that AI, it started about a year and a half ago, was the big deal when Chat GPT came out. That's OpenAI's program. It turns out that Microsoft owns a good share of OpenAI, and so their Chat GPT is very close to Copilot, which is Microsoft's version. But when they came out with it, everybody thought, "Oh, this is brand new." Actually, we've been using AI for quite a while. If you use a smartphone, if it's using Siri on an Apple phone, that's AI. If you're using an Echo Dot to tell it to play certain music or to listen to news or something, that's an AI also. There's just a lot of things that we've been using it, but suddenly when Chat GPT came out, it became very widely known and has been in the news nearly every day since then, with lots of problems as well as with the things that it can do right. There are some suggestions there as to where it came from and what it's going on with and what they're calling it. The technical names in several cases are called large language models. Sometimes you see LLM, large language model. What that means is they copy the text from any place online that they can find into a big text database, and then when you type in what they call a prompt, or that's a question or a statement that you're interested in getting information about, the words that are in your prompt are checked against this big database, and words that are near that, they figure that they're probably related to it, and so they pull those out and they start writing a narrative for you about what those words mean. And that's why they warn you that you may get stuff that's either inaccurate, and that's a major problem because AI can be used for nefarious purposes as well as for good purposes. So check it out. They always warn you on that, but this may not be accurate, so don't take it for granted without checking it. Because of that, everything you type in and post online may be used in a large database, a large language database, so it may be checked against by anybody who writes a prompt or a question, because they may find those words close by. And so, anyway, so just be careful. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So, the strong points about AI are that it may help you find stuff you didn't know about or that you knew about but had forgotten, or it will help you organize some of the information. And I found it very helpful for organizing some of the things. But the weak points are that you have to check it after you get it because it may not be accurate. There are lots of articles about it, and there's a link to an article there from, I think I put the one from Wikipedia in there about what AI is. Once you get to any AI website, you can ask that AI website about any other, or even that website itself. For example, once you get to an AI website like Gemini, you can say to Gemini, how do I use Gemini? Or how do I get started with Gemini? Or how do I use Gemini in family history? One thing and another. Okay, that we'll talk about Google's Gemini program, and there's a link to it right there. But it's easy to remember. If whatever browser you're using, I use Chrome. This is the Chrome browser that we're looking at now. If you just type in Gemini, Gemini, .google.com, you'll get to their website. Now, if you in all of these AI websites, you need an account, but they're usually free. For all the free versions, they are all free. And if you're using Gmail, for example, you already have a Google account. That'll get you there. If you're using Chrome, it'll already start for you. If you're using Edge or some other program, you may have to type in your Google account number to get in to use it. But once you get the accounts are free, but you have to use an account so it knows who's asking the questions and so on. There's all the information that's there. What comes up immediately, as you'll see in a couple of minutes here when we do the demos, it'll say, ask me a question, or some of them say, ask me anything. Most of them say, enter a prompt. Prompts are what they mean by questions or suggestions or statements. That they call them prompts. And so if you see the word prompt in there, enter a prompt, that just means enter a statement about it. Now, once you do that, then you get the information back, and we'll show how it comes back and so on. I find it very helpful to copy that, to just highlight it all, click Control C to copy it to the clipboard, and then paste it into a note program so that I don't have to go back to the Gemini or whatever the program is that I'm using, whatever the AI program is, and so that I can go back and review it or change it or edit it or copy it for other pieces, parts, or copy out the parts, etc. So there are some cautions and suggestions there. Now, keep in mind that anything you type into a prompt may end up in this big database. So if you're having it correct a narrative about your life, you may not want to have it, you may want to change some of the stuff so that change your name, for example, to something else, or use initials or use anything else, or change a date here and there, so that, and then remember what you changed so that the actual data is not in there. If you put your date and your information and your name and your birth date and your parents' names, all that's fair game because it's been typed into this database. And so it's available for anybody else to see. If somebody else types in something that relates to it, they may see all your information. So if you're using it to help you correct some of your own narrative and writing, then change a few words here and there so it's not identifiable with you. And then you don't have to worry about what it is. And then when you get the results, you can change it back, change the names or the dates or whatever so that it's back with what you want. Then here's some prompts to try various sorts of things, which we'll try a couple of these in there. One of them is, how do you start using Gemini? Or how do you find birth records in Wisconsin? We were just talking with Sam Giordano a few minutes ago before we started this, and her grandmother was in Wisconsin, and she may be wanting to find birth records there, or marriage records, or census records, or something of that nature. You can ask it, how do you find those? or how do you find the military record of somebody and an ancestor and so on. All right, now that's the notes. So the details are in the notes there, and you can go back and look at those in detail later on. Now let's actually uh, do some. Well, let me go back to that to the PowerPoint. And I'll show you that demo again of some of the stuff we're going to actually talk about. Let's see if Alt Tab. Where's the Alt? There's Alt Tab is this one. Oh, that's the summary. Let me go back. Here we go. We want to do some demos. How to use Gemini in Google. And the first thing is to get to it. Just it's easy to remember, gemini.google.com. And if you're using Chrome, that'll put you in because you're already in Chrome, and so you already have a Google account. How to use it, we'll show that, information about it, and suggested uses of it, and some examples. All right, now let me go back again to the to this page. Now I've put a link on here. Once I got into it, I typed it in one time, and then I put a link. Let's see, it's right here. It's after Google. On if I can hardly see this with my poor eyesight, I'm going to have to turn on the magnifier here. My eyesight is getting so bad these days. Let's see. Windows Plus will turn on the magnifier for me for a minute. I click on this little double chevron thing, and it'll be the first one up, depending on how wide the screen is. I've just set up a Gemini. Now I'll turn the magnifier off. Windows Escape turns it off. Okay, so I'm already in Google, and so it knows my account. And so here's Gemini. It's just that I've been calling it a website, but it's really a program, and so on. It says it was just updated, and you can check the updates and see what it says on there. And then it says, hello, how can I help you? And there's a big blank here to where to type in. Where is the blank? Oh, this is
it's
stuff
on the screen, Don.
Yeah, I can't see it. That's my problem.
It's on the screen. The cursor is in it. You can type.
Well, it says, how can I help you today?
It's below that. It's enter a prompt here.
Oh, clear down at the
already
bottom.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah, I see it.
screen.
Yeah, I see that enter a prompt here. Yeah. Okay, now let's put in for an example. Tell me about Wisconsin census records. Now that's a pretty nebulous statement, but let's see what happens. Now you don't hit return. If you hit return, it goes to another line. Well, in fact, it wipes out this line, but you go over here to the right and you see that arrow thing that points to the right. I'm going to click on it. I clicked on it. Okay, now it's thinking, and now it's coming back already with the information. And so here it is. It came back that fast. Now this is my own computer right here that you just saw. It went out and came back that fast. Wisconsin has two main types of census records: federal and state censuses. Federal censuses are conducted every 10 years, et cetera, and it'll go through and it'll tell you where you can find information about it and something about the census records themselves. The reason why I just happened to mention Wisconsin is because we were talking earlier with Sam Giordano about this. State censuses were conducted by the state of Wisconsin in addition, and so on, and they were conducted at different times, and it'll give you links and information. All this came back that fast. Now, what I find very helpful is to just go through the top, from the top down, and highlight it from the top for the question is. Here's tell me about or tell about. I'm going to, if I highlight that, let's see if I can get my cursor up there to where I can see it. I can't. There it's highlighted. Now I go down, I'm just letting it drag down. Okay, there it is. I hope this information is helpful, and so on. Now, if I do a Control C, that's on the clipboard, and I could type that into a note program, and save that so that I could, and all the links are hot links. If they give you a link in there to federal censuses or where they are, they're all available. You can type that in and then you can edit it. You can do what you want to with it. And it warns you, check this out before you accept this as gospel truth, because it may not be accurate. But it's so handy to be able to organize this stuff. And I find that I've forgotten at my age, I'm forgetting so many things, that this helps me refresh my memory as to what I once knew and where the stuff is, and organize the information. You can ask it to say, if you're giving a class in some subject, whether it's family history or whatever it is, you can say, give me a suggestion for 10 slides that I could use in a PowerPoint presentation about United States military records. And it will think for a minute, and it will come back, and it won't give you the slides themselves, but it'll say a slide about this and a slide about this, and here's where you can do this, and so on. It'll give you, it'll organize your information for you. I just find it really helpful. I do accordion concerts here at Jamestown, where I live. It's an assisted living place. And every month I do an accordion concert. I choose a theme. And the theme for the one yesterday was Mother's Day and women's names. And so I could type in, give me a list of the top 10 songs about mothers. And it would list the top 10 songs. The problem is, they're new songs. I grew up in the Second World War days, and so the songs I remember are way old, lots older than some of the new ones. And some of the new ones I don't even know what the song is. So I narrowed it down, and I find this really helpful in doing a prompt. After you get some results, change the prompt, add in a few more things. So then I said, give me 10 top songs about mothers before 1960. And it comes back with 10 top songs about mothers before 1960. Those I did recognize. So you narrow it down by what you're after to sharpen up. That's the term I've used in my notes there about, and once you get the thing, just keep working with it, sharpen it a little bit more on things. But then once you get something that you want to keep, copy it off. At least I find it helpful to copy it off and use it and use the copy. Now, let me illustrate another thing that you can do. Let's go down to the prompt will be down here at the bottom. Enter a prompt here. This I found quite interesting when I tried it yesterday. Let me go back to my notes, Dawn's Gemini. Here's the abstract for this. You can do this with any bit of information, any bit of text. I'm going to highlight the abstract. We didn't read this, but the abstract told what we were doing and what was happening with it and so on. Control C puts it on the clipboard. Now I go back to Gemini. That's this one. And in the enter the prompt, down in the prompt, Control V, paste it all in there. So this is any text, and I'm just using this as an example. The text. Let's take a quick check as to what this says before I hit the prompt on here. This class discusses Google's Gemini program, which is free AI, artificial intelligence, a free AI website. We'll discuss, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And okay, now remember, you don't hit enter. If you hit enter, it wipes this out and it starts over again. You have to hit that right arrow thing down there, this thing, to actually change it. Okay, or actually have it come back. Okay, so I'm going to click that. Okay, and now it's started thinking. It's gone through it. It's back. There's a class exploring genealogy with etc. This class delves into the world of artificial intelligence, et cetera, et cetera. It picked that up from the abstract. Part one, the rise of AI. We'll begin with a little bit about AI, et cetera. Part two, Google's Gemini. This class will then discuss that. It came back with that fast. it came back with this information just from that abstract of the class. Important note, in-depth classes, in-depth class notes with active links can be found on the instructor's website, and there's the same website that's there. Target audience, etc., etc. Now, well, it didn't give me the yesterday when I typed this in. Maybe maybe I did something else. Let me show you what it came back with a rewrite of my abstract. Let me see if I can get to that. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. Let's see. Let's see. A Windows D should get me to. I use Evernote for a file, a note file. Let me see if this will start it up if I get to it. Okay, it's Gemini. How do you? This is something else I did yesterday, and I typed in one jazz radio stations. I wanted to get a list of stuff. Gemini suggestions for my. Here we go. Let me click on this. Okay, and now let me double click so that'll open up and see if I can get this thing so that you can read it. Last edited. Okay, this was the suggestions. That's my title at the top. Gemini. I save this stuff with Gemini, and it says I wrote this. I pasted my abstract from my class notes into this was yesterday, the 14th. That's yesterday, and then hit the thing. There's the abstract I typed in. That's what we just typed in now. And then it said, the abstract looks good, exclamation point. Here are some minor suggestions for improvement. Clarify Gemini. While there is a Google AI project, etc., it's not a website. A couple of days ago, Gerhard and I were discussing this about, is it a website or what? I've used the term website because so it wouldn't scare people that they'd say, oh, I'm used to websites. It's a program, and they say it's not a website. And they say to rephrase that, you might want to rephrase that. So they go on and talk about this more and more. And then down at the bottom, there's here's an example of revised abstract. And there's their revision of my class abstract. Now, for some reason, that didn't come up today. I don't know why. I don't know what I did different today than yesterday, but I copied this from yesterday. This class explores the potential of artificial intelligence, AI, in various fields, with a particular focus on its applications in family history research. Anyway, it's a rewording of what I said, but it's got all the stuff in there, and it probably does read better than the way I wrote it originally. And it lists my website right down at the bottom where the notes are, and all they're there. You can see how you could use this if you're writing a narrative of something of your life or something, but keep in mind that you want to change a few things, like your name, to put John Jones or something in place of your name, or maybe a date different, so that, or a location, something, so that it's not identifiable with you for later. Because once it goes into the database, it may be fair game for anybody to use and to see. And so that's why they call these things large language models, because they test against large collections. There was a company that I read about just recently that had used all kinds of data that they got by scanning books in copyright. And somebody got wind of this, that they were using copyrighted material. And so they ended up having to delete their entire database so that they couldn't be accused of infringing on people's copyrights. So just be careful as to what you put in there, and don't put personal data with your own address or something like that in there, so that you change it from that. Okay, now that's an example of what you can do with narrative, and we already looked at a couple of examples there of, let's see if I get back to where we are on the Oh, let's see. Oh, I'm holding down the wrong thing. Here's the Windows. Uh, okay. So the demos, we've looked at how to get to a Gemini, and you get to it just by typing in gemini.google.com. That'll get you to it from any browser. But if you're using the Chrome browser, you're already in Chrome. In Google, you have a Google account, so that your account is already, and you don't need to set up another one. You use it by typing something, a prompt in there, or a statement, or a question, and so on. And you get in for there. We didn't show anything about the helps, but there's a 3-bar thing up above the word Gemini that you click on that, and it'll give you all kinds of helps. There's frequently asked questions and all sorts of other things that you may want to take time to go through. I was going to go through a little bit of that, but our time is about up already. Suggested uses and some examples of what's happening with it. So a summary is the same thing that we've just talked about: how to get there, how to use it, and something about how it'll work, and the free versions of it, and some examples. And then the conclusions are, once you get into it, it's easy to use. The tricky part is the first part. Once you try it, then it's easy after that. But if you're like me, I have to see somebody actually do it like I did today for you. Hopefully you'll be able to find it and to get into it. Are there any questions or comments that any of you have? And if you have, if you're on Zoom, just unmute your mic and ask them. And if you're
I
on,
have a question.
go ahead.
This is Quilden Howard. I noticed that on your notes that you have a copyright symbol.
Uh-huh.
Does AI just ignore those copyrights? It seems like they could get into copyrighted material and spread it around.
I don't know the answer to that question. I do have my stuff copyrighted, but
I have another
but
question about copyright.
yeah,
Um, is a copyright, do you have to submit whatever your material is to someone to receive a copyright? Or
no,
all you have to do is use the little symbol and say, my stuff is copyrighted now.
you don't even have to use the symbol. If you can prove that you've written it and posted it or made it available on a certain day, it's automatically copyrighted to you. The
Oh,
copyright symbol just helps other people know, and it helps you so that you could go back and prove that on such and such a date you had posted it. But you don't
okay.
even really need to use that copyright symbol.
Oh, I've noticed people using those on photographs, um,
Yeah, yeah,
professional and semi professional photographers.
uh-huh.
They'll just show the copyright symbol in their name, and so I guess that copyrights it then, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Once
Okay.
you've written it or posted it, it's automatically copyrighted. But you got to
Huh.
be able to prove the date and that it was you.
All right.
And so that's why it helps to. That's why I always do that for copywriting. We had a problem several years ago that it's been probably 20 more than 25 years ago that we had written something, and I think it was with our group on the UV tag group. We're in our 34th year with the UV tag. I think we had written something and we didn't have copyrighted, and somebody else copied it and copyrighted it by them. And with their copyright, we couldn't even use our own stuff that we had written. And we had no proof that we had done it earlier. And so
Yeah.
we started using the symbol, and I started putting it on my stuff just so that it would avoid the problem.
Yeah. Apparently the same thing happened with the little smiley face thing. It was around forever, but nobody copyrighted it, and someone finally did.
That's like that song "Happy Birthday."
Oh yeah.
That was not copyrighted at the start, and then somebody copyrighted it, and finally the Congress or somebody decided that it was way out of copyright and that anybody could use it again.
All right.
Any other questions anybody has?
Oh, just a comment.
No.
My son uses AI in business all the time. He's able to organize things which would take him in research, days or weeks. in just a little bit, and he just has to he has to verify that what it says is actually valid data, because
Yes.
sometimes they mess things up. I have a nephew who also uses it a lot, and his comment was, if people don't get over the fear of AI and they don't do it, they're going to be left behind when it comes to working in business.
That's exactly the case. People are some people are so afraid of it because they think it's going to avoid, take away jobs and all this. It's going to contribute more to help than it is to. It can be used for bad purposes, no question about that, and so you need to be careful. But boy, it's a lifesaver. It's a just a little bit I've used it. It's really worthwhile. Yeah, good comments. Anything else that anybody has?
I have a question, Don.
Okay.
Is AI being used to transcribe some of the written documents like birth records,
Yes, it
land
is.
records?
Yeah. For example, I don't know how to use it for that because I need to learn that because I'd like to be able to use it. But an example is when the federal censuses, the 1940 census came out, 72 years later, it took us nearly a year to get that all indexed because we did it by hand and we had people checking it and so on. When the 1950 census came out, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Ancestry worked together, and Ancestry provided the background of the AI program, and the whole thing was done in 1 month. And they began having people just check this stuff, and they realized that it was so accurate that they didn't even need to bother to check it. So the difference was doing the handwriting by using AI. They were able to save hours and hours and hours and get the whole index posted. And I think you can still correct it if they do find an error, but it's all the difference in the world. But I need to know how to do, and if I ever find out, I'll do a class on it. How do
Right.
you use it to index your own handwritten stuff?
And that's a good question for AI is um, uh, how do how do I translate from cursive for my grandson?
Yeah, transcribe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And translate is another thing it will do. You can have it translate. You can say, here's a document, translate this into Spanish, and it will do that. But of course, Google will do that already. And that next month when I do my tips and tricks, that I probably ought to show. I'm going to skip. I do an AI thing every other month. So next month it's on tips and tricks about Windows. I probably ought to show how to do the translate in Google, because you can have it translate a whole website. If you have the website in Danish and you're doing Danish research, there's a way that you can put the website in there and then translate it to English. And anything you click from there on will always be in English, even if it was in Danish or Swahili or anything else to begin with. It'll show up in English until you change the original thing. That's the translate. We'll talk about that too. But that's AI too.
So, Don, if you had old German handwriting,
Uh-huh.
would it translate that?
I don't know the answer to that one. I assume it would, but I know if you have old German text, it will for sure. But
Okay.
if you'd have old German handwriting, I don't know. I don't know enough about handwriting, but I need to learn it.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, I've
We
appreciated you
don't have
people.
any comments on Facebook, Don.
Okay. Do we know where people were watching from Facebook? Do we have people from?
Nobody told us.
Oh, I didn't ask at the start. I sometimes do just for interest to know where people might be from. Okay. Well, anyway, I appreciate you folks being with us. We talked about Gemini, which is Google's free AI website, and we'll talk about the other websites, Microsoft's Copilot and OpenOffice's ChatGPT and there's 2 or 3 others that are worthwhile or discussing sometime in the future. There's my email address on this one, snowd@math.byu.edu. If you have questions later on and you want to ask, I'll be glad to try and answer them for you. And the notes are online at that place down below where we've been talking about it before. So I appreciate you people taking time to be with us this afternoon, and I hope that you've enjoyed it and gotten something out of it to stimulate your interest, to keep trying and seeing what you can do with AI.